to know you as I am fully known. I will call on you till the day you bring me home. Yeah!
Hello and welcome to Worship Arts Clinics TV. My name is John Parrott and I am the Worship Arts Director at Discovery Church in Orlando, Florida. And just thrilled that you tuned in with us and want to just give you an idea of what you could expect from this channel. Our heart is to help strengthen the journey of other worship artists, musicians, creative individuals, pastors, worship pastors, from what we've just been learning and God has been showing us on our journey here. None of this is prescription, it's just simply description of what we have learned in an effort to help strengthen you on your journey, your team's journey, your leadership team's journey, whatever that may be. So what you can expect from us is each Monday we are going to have no more than a 10-minute video clip on everything that falls underneath the umbrella of who we are as worship artists and creative individuals. So we're going to talk about how the acoustic guitar plays its part in worship music, how to sing better, maybe some vocal tip exercises, stage design, audio tips and tricks. I'm going to talk about picking worship sets, auditions, working with volunteers. How do you recruit and how do you go out there and invite people to join? We're going to run the gamut on anything and everything that we encounter on a weekly basis as worship arts ministries, creative ministries within churches. Simply, also, if you just want to, as an artist, grow, we're going to have what I consider just professionals. They're going to be here each and every week teaching different tips and tricks, soloing techniques, guitar effects techniques, drumming techniques, bass playing techniques, audio sequencing and programming. You can think about it. We're going to talk about it. And again, this is just to help strengthen you and what you're doing. So we want to encourage you each Monday as we put a video out, take time to look at this, maybe gather some team members around it. If you're a leader, it could be a great thing on Monday to think about and work on throughout your coming weekend that's coming up, and some tips and tricks that you will have learned. So in an effort to kick this thing off next week, what we're going to do is I'm going to be talking about, first and foremost, is if you're a worship pastor or you're someone who is thinking about going into the worship arts ministries, are you positioned correctly? Meaning, has God built that into the DNA of who you are? Understanding, as we see in 1 Corinthians, that God has given each one of us spiritual gifts. And they're all different spiritual gifts. And for different things, so we can be different members of the body and serve different needs within our church. It's a wonderful thing when it's all working in synergy together. But what I think happens sometimes, especially right now in the church, with the rise of contemporary worship and how it's such a popular thing and an important thing, is that churches sometimes get the cart before the horse, and they go out and they just want to imitate and copy what some other church is doing. So they throw a bunch of people in that. If a guy can sing or a gal can sing, they put him in a place of leadership, understanding that possibly this individual is not wired to be a spiritual leader or a pastor. Doesn't make them a bad person. It just may be it's not built into their wiring or their DNA. And what happens is that the worship pastor or the worship leader can become very discouraged. The senior leadership can be very discouraged because they're wondering, why can't we draw out of this individual what we need to draw out of them without first looking at, is this individual wired this way? So this is where I would like to start. So I want to encourage you, if you're a worship pastor, if you're someone who's thinking about getting into the worship arts ministry, if you're a lead pastor or on an elder board or whatever that role may be, for you to take time to look at this video next week. In an effort to help prepare you for this, what I'd like for you to do is, in the description of this video is going to be a spiritual gift assessment. And you can just download that, you can take it, it's going to take you probably 20 to 25 minutes to fill this out. If you've never done this, this is a very exciting thing to do to figure out what within you God has put. And you may find some things that you didn't know was there, but you may find out that the reason why you like working on cars and doing things is because God has given you a spiritual gift of craftsmanship that you never knew. And there's different things that it's going to be very enlightening for you. But if you'll take 20 to 30 minutes, you'll fill out that test. And then what I would like for you to do is identify the top 4 things that rise to the top. The top 4 things will really help pinpoint your spiritual gifting. And some of them should be just very obvious to you. When you see them, yeah, that makes sense. If you're administrative, oh, I see that, that comes to the top, that makes sense. But by identifying these things, this is where we're going to start next week when we dive into, are you positioned correctly? And it's something that I've identified for my life, understanding that what I'm called to be and what I'm called to do. And when you are in that sweet spot, I truly believe that is where you experience the abundance of life, because there you are seeing how God has wired you. You are doing something that God has called you to and fulfilling the kingdom of God and the calling on your life. And that's where all of us desire to be. So take that time, fill out that test. We'll see you next Monday. Hope to talk to you and see you soon.